What is going on, Jets fans? DTereman back. And today I wanted to discuss offensive coordinator Tanner Engstrand and his comments in an interview with Eric Allen on the official Jets podcast. Hope everybody's doing well today. Midweek of a short week, hopefully for most people, as we have off on the 4th of July this Friday upcoming. So a nice long weekend to look forward to. Hope everybody has a safe July 4th weekend. First thing I wanted to discuss was the play style that Tanner Engstrand hopes to bring to the New York Jets offense. A bit of a cliche answer, but also Eric Allen just asked him for a general baseline of what this offense is going to look like. Four key adjectives that Engstrand used when describing what he wants the offense to look like were physical, aggressive, explosive, and detailed. A lot of things that this Jets offense has just quite frankly not been for the past couple of seasons, back to maybe the LaFleur seasons when we had Mike as the OC. And before that, it's hard to find a season where you can aptly put all those adjectives about the Jets offense. So I was happy to hear him say physical and aggressive. That's probably going to mean offensive line in your run game. You're going to bully people in the trenches. You're not going to take shit from anybody. You're not going to get pushed back into the lap of the running back or the quarterback before they even have a chance to make a play with the ball. Explosive, that just speaks to Garrett Wilson and the receivers. Hopefully they find ways to get creative with Garrett and get him open and create 15-plus yard plays for this offense, because it seems like the explosives have just been lacking for many seasons now. And detailed. Yeah, how many pre-snap penalties and just stupid, costly mistakes in the second half of football games do we need to see from this Jets offense before we realize details are important, and coaching the details is absolutely just so important for this offense that it shouldn't need to be stated. It almost sounds too cliche, but when the Jets offense has been so putrid for the last couple seasons, you almost need to take the baby steps of building the foundation, and detailed notes and detailed work from the skill position players is definitely going to be the way to get there. The next thing that Engstrand talked about was the offensive coordinator and the quarterback being on the same page. He said that these guys basically need to be on the same wavelength. They need to be inside each other's minds. When Engstrand calls a play, Justin Fields needs to understand why he's calling the play, the details of that play, how to execute it properly to put the team in the best situation. So this summer, I think Engstrand and Fields are just going to have to work on that, getting in sync with each other, making sure that there are no miscommunications. Even a small miscommunication can lead to a big miscue on offense. So Justin Fields having to read the mind of Tanner Engstrand and vice versa so that they can get on the same page is going to be vitally important for this offense. Eric asked him about having a dual threat quarterback after having a couple seasons of Jared Goff, who quite frankly is a statue. Engstrand had a good answer here, I thought, where he said you have your quote unquote core offense, which are your standard concepts, pass, run game concepts that almost every offense is going to feature. And then he said you need to evolve the rest of the playbook to the talent on the field. Shocker, right? It's almost like we haven't had a coach that knows that before, at least on the offensive side of the ball. So he said you have to put the rest of the playbook to where the talent on the field is. And he said it would be, quote unquote, silly of us not to take advantage of that. That being Justin Fields' dual threat ability. It's no secret. Justin Fields is a physical specimen. He's rushed for 1,000 yards in Chicago's offense as a sophomore in the NFL, just his second season. So they're well aware of his physical abilities, and now they need to find a way to tailor the offense around those abilities. He did say that the top 6, quote unquote, offensive linemen were your projected starters: Fashanu, Simpson, Tippmann, Vera Tucker, and Membu. And then Josh Myers was added in as that 6th offensive line. He did mention again the competition between Tip and Myers. I'm not buying it, much like most other Jets fans. Maybe once we get into training camp and the pads come on, we'll see something that the coaches see about this competition, where Myers is much closer to surpassing Tittman as the starter on the roster. But for now, I think Tittman is definitely going to be the starter. When asked about the tight end group, he said it was, quote, developing. Not necessarily the best praise for the room. Obviously, you have a young rookie headlining the group, and then two unproven make or break type tight ends behind him in Ruckert and Stone Smart. So he said they were, quote, developing, and he gave credit to the tight end and assistant tight ends coach. I believe his name is Blasco. So he said developing for the tight ends, not the greatest adjective to use. And then in the wide receiver room, he said they're all working hard. Garrett Wilson is embracing his role in the offense, and they see his skill set. So again, it's not a situation where you get to week 6 or week 8 or week 10 in the season and Engstrand standing up at the podium fielding questions, and he's like, yeah, I didn't realize Garrett Wilson could do those things well. They understand what these guys do well. Probably they understand what they don't do well already from the sample sizes that they've put on film prior to this regime getting here. So glad that Wilson is embracing the role in the offense. It's just more of the buy-in from these young stars on the roster. He did mention Jay Ray, Josh Reynolds, having a familiarity with the terminology in the offense. And then he mentioned Lazard and Tyler Johnson as the veterans in the room. And then everybody else, he said, is just coming along, continuing to learn and play fast. Playing fast is something this team has not done in quite a long time. I feel like even when the offense was clicking in the Rodgers year, really in 2024, it just felt like it was going at a snail's pace. Like there was just no deep shots, no creatives, no explosives really, except for a couple passes here and there to Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson. So I like the fact that they're letting these guys play fast. I like that everybody's absorbing the offense under Engstrand, and I'm glad that Engstrand is the guy that we hired. I think I'm a little higher on him and more optimistic on him than most consensus Jets fans, and that's okay. I think what he's brought over from Detroit, or what he's going to bring over from Detroit, and his other stops, whether it's college at San Diego or at the UFL level even, I think that he is the guy who's going to get us closer to that Mike LaFleur offense. And I understand not all Jets fans were super in love with Mike LaFleur. Again, I was higher on Mike LaFleur than most people probably were. But if you could get back to that LaFleur type of offense where Breece Hall was creating explosives, I think about the Packers game where he's running away from all 11 defenders. If you can get closer to that than what you had in Hackett and Downing, this offense might actually be pretty special. And I know that they have a lot of unknowns, including the quarterback position in Justin Fields. But when you have the skill talent of Breece and Garrett, the potential of Mason Taylor, the offensive line being one of your strongest positions on the entire roster, it's just going to go a long way in helping the offense transition more into a modern NFL offense and not something that's stuck in a time machine somewhere between the 70s and the 80s where they just can't get their head out of their own ass. So I'm appreciative and I'm excited for Tanner Engstrand. I'm really looking forward to see what this offense has in store for 2025. I'm trying to learn as much as I can about the Detroit Lions offense. I'm also going to study up on the Commanders offense from 2024 and a lot of the Cliff Kingsbury concepts. So stay tuned for some of those conceptual film videos. You can catch me later at 5 p.m. on Jake's show in my weekly spot. And until next time, let's go Jets.